Without objection, so ordered.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I wish to yield to the sponsor of this piece of legislation, the gentleman from Nebraska, 5 minutes for an explanation of his piece of legislation.
The gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Fortenberry, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, Mr. Speaker, let me thank the distinguished gentleman from Utah, Mr. Bishop, the chairman of the House Committee on Natural Resources, and the distinguished gentleman from Arizona as well, Mr. Grijalva, who is the ranking member, as well as the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, the chairman of the Federal Land Subcommittee, and the distinguished gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Tsongas, the ranking member on the committee, for their outstanding work and help to me in bringing this legislation to the floor. This is important. This legislation directs the Secretary of the Interior to conduct a feasibility study for the Chief Standing Bear National Historic Trail. Now, Chief Standing Bear holds a very special place in Native American and the history of our country. Establishing a trail in his name would be an outstanding way to recognize his contributions to our great land. I'd like to provide some additional background on this extraordinary individual who prevailed in one of the most important court cases for Native Americans in our country's history. Chief Standing Bear was a Ponca chief. In the 1800s, the Ponca tribe made its home in the Nile River Valley area of Nebraska. In 1877, the United States government forcibly pressured the Poncas from that homeland, compelling them to move to the Indian Territory in Oklahoma. Not wanting to subject his people to a confrontation with the government, Standing Bear obliged and led them from their homes on a perilous journey to the territory of Oklahoma. That journey was harsh, and the new land was inhospitable. Nearly a third of the tribe died along the way from starvation, malaria, and other diseases, including Chief Standing Bear's little girl and later his son, Bear Shield. Before Bear Shield died, however, Standing Bear promised his son that he would bury him in their native land in the Nile River Valley. So Standing Bear embarked on the trip in the winter of 1878 to return to the homeland to bury his son, leading about a group of about 65 other Poncas. When they reached the Omaha Reservation, the United States Army stopped Standing Bear and arrested him for leaving Oklahoma without their permission. He was taken to Fort Omaha and held there until a trial. In the meantime, Standing Bear's plight attracted media attention, first in the Omaha Daily Herald, which was the forerunner of the present-day Omaha World Herald, and the story became well publicized nationally. At the conclusion of his two-day trial, Standing Bear was allowed to speak for himself, and then he raised his hand and he said this: "That hand is not the color of yours, but if I pierce it, I shall feel pain. If you pierce your hand, you will feel pain. The blood that will flow from mine will be the same color as yours. I am a man. God made us both." And with these profound words, in that late spring day of 1879, I believe Chief Standing Bear expressed the most American of sentiments, the belief in the inherent and dignity and rights of all persons, no matter their color, no matter their ethnicity. Judge Elmer Dundy concurred, and he ruled that Native Americans are persons within the meaning of the law. Now, this is notable. This is 1879, and for the first time, Native Americans are recognized as persons within the full meaning of the law. The story of the Ponca Chief is a story of strength and grace and determination. I think it's a story that we need to tell over and over again so that it is understood and cherished by all Americans of future generations. Mr. Speaker, the establishment of a Chief Standing Bear National Historic Trail would honor both the courage of this man and the great contribution to the freedom and the civil liberties of our nation that he brought about. This bill is an important first step toward establishing the trail, and I look forward to continuing to work with the committee and the National Park Service to make this a reality. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back his time.